The sun crept gently over the clay roofs of Riverbend Village, touching the fields with gold. Birds sang above the palm trees, and the river hummed its slow morning song. In the heart of that quiet village lived Grace, a young woman whose laughter could soften even the hardest heart. She fetched water before dawn, sang as she cooked, and cared for her widowed mother, Mama Grace. Everyone said, "That girl's heart is pure as spring water." Grace believed life was simple, until destiny brought a man from the city. That afternoon, a car rolled into the village, the kind most villages had never seen so close. Out stepped Daniel, a smartly dressed man from Lagos City. He had come for quiet. The noise of the city had worn out his soul. He carried his phone, his pride, and a heart that believed money could buy peace. When he stopped by the river to take a photo, his shoe slipped. Before he could fall, a soft hand caught his arm. It was Grace. Daniel, surprised, "Thank you. I didn't see the mud." Grace, smiling, "The river sees everyone, sir. You just have to look where it flows." Her words puzzled him. Daniel lodged in the only guest house in Riverbend, owned by Madame Rose, the village talker. By evening the news spread. "A rich man from Lagos is here." Women whispered, men speculated, and Madame Rose counted her blessings. But Daniel barely noticed. His phone kept buzzing with city calls, clients, meetings, deadlines. He had run from the noise, but it followed him like a shadow. Mama Grace fell ill that week, and Grace began selling vegetables near the guest house. One morning, Daniel saw her arranging tomatoes, humming softly. Something in her calm voice felt like home. "Daniel, don't you ever get tired?" "Grace, if I stop, who will feed Mama? Work keeps me thankful." Her simplicity unsettled him. He offered to pay double for her goods. She refused gently, saying, "Sir, the price of food doesn't change because a man wears a suit." Rain swept across Riverbend. Daniel's car broke down on the muddy road. Grace passed by with a basket on her head. Without hesitation, she helped cover his bags with her wrapper. Both laughed under the heavy rain. For the first time in years, Daniel laughed like a child. That night he couldn't sleep. The sound of the rain reminded him of her voice. Days turned to weeks. Daniel stayed longer than planned. He began writing short notes to Grace, folded neatly inside bread wraps from the market. She read them shyly but never replied, until one day she wrote, "Sir, city people forget easily. I pray you remember this village when you go." Those words touched Daniel more than any business deal ever had. When Daniel's car was finally repaired, he promised to return. Grace stood by the dusty road, waving as the car disappeared. Mama Grace whispered, "My child, don't let your heart travel faster than your wisdom." Grace smiled, but her heart had already followed that car. The city swallowed Daniel again, horns, deadlines, and bright lights. His friend David laughed when Daniel spoke about a village girl. "Village love? Daniel, be serious." Daniel smiled faintly, but something inside him had changed. He began to see vanity in everything, the empty parties, the fake smiles. Weeks later, Daniel's boss Mr. Roberts announced his retirement and invited Daniel to his country home to manage a new farm project near Riverbend Village. Destiny was calling again. When Daniel drove back into the village, children ran after his car shouting, "The city man is back." Grace was by the river washing clothes. Their eyes met, surprise, joy, and disbelief mingled together. "Daniel, I told you I'd return." Grace, smiling, "Many people make promises with the wind. But you kept yours." Daniel began managing the Roberts farm, hiring local workers. Grace supplied vegetables and helped organize the women. Slowly, friendship bloomed again. Clean, sincere, unhurried. But Madame Rose's gossip spread like Harmattan fire. The city man wants to marry a poor girl. Daniel heard the gossip and, in a moment of weakness, distanced himself from Grace. He feared what people would say, what his city friends would think. Grace noticed the change but said nothing. She kept working, singing her soft songs by the river. Sometimes silence teaches more than words. One night, Grace's mother grew worse. The only hospital was miles away. Daniel heard the news from Madame Rose and rushed over. He carried Mama Grace into his truck and sped through the rain to Lagos General Hospital. For the first time, he prayed aloud. God, please, let her live. Not for me, but for Grace. At the hospital, Grace saw the city for the first time, its tall buildings, endless lights, and restless people. She sat beside her mother's bed, whispering prayers. Daniel stayed nearby, watching her faith and courage. In those quiet hours, he realized money could build houses, but love built homes. When Mama Grace recovered, Daniel took Grace to the seaside. Waves crashed softly against the rocks. Grace, I was blind with pride. You've shown me what peace feels like. He knelt, not with a ring yet, but with sincerity. Let me be the man who shares your simple world. Grace wept, tears of joy, disbelief, and answered prayers. But the world tested them. Mr. Roberts's company faced trouble, and Daniel was offered a post abroad. Huge pay, quick escape. David warned, if you stay for that village girl, you'll regret it. Daniel wrestled through sleepless nights. In the end, he chose Grace. Some dreams are worth more than gold. Under the tall mango tree by the river, the village gathered. Grace wore a simple white dress, Daniel a gray suit. The choir sang, drums echoed, and even Madame Rose cried with joy. Mama Grace whispered, see what humility brings. Daniel placed a ring on Grace's finger, his voice trembling. You saved my soul when I had everything yet nothing. They built their first house near the Roberts farm, half wood, half dream. Grace taught women to plant vegetables. Daniel taught young men to run small businesses. Riverbend Village began to change. Light bulbs replaced lanterns. Laughter replaced gossip. A year later, rain fell just like the day they met. Grace and Daniel stood by the river, holding hands. Grace, remember when you almost fell, yes, and a stranger caught me. Now that stranger is my wife. They laughed as thunder rolled gently across the sky. Every evening, Grace sat by the porch singing softly. Children passed by. Couples stopped to listen. Her song carried a message of hope, that love can grow from dust, that pride can melt in kindness. Daniel watched her, smiling. He had found peace not in wealth, but in the woman who taught him to see life with humble eyes. Moral lesson. My friend, never despise small beginnings. The stream you ignore today might be the river that saves you tomorrow. Grace's gentleness changed a proud man's heart. Her patience rebuilt a soul. If you ever meet someone who carries peace instead of pride, don't let them go. And when love finds you in the simplest form, hold it tight, because true riches are not counted in money, but in hearts that care. If this story touched you, like, comment, subscribe and share it so another heart can find hope. And remember, sometimes, the one who saves your soul doesn't come from the city, but from a humble village called Riverbend. Thank you so much for watching.